Coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Mark's coming up in the next segment. He's got a very interesting point I see on screen about the African Hajj pilgrimage coming up. That's why Saudi Arabia and others have banned these flights, is they've already had Ebola cases get into their country. It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the timing of all this, we played the clip a few weeks ago. I should probably play it again. Our own government messing with monkeys in Ebola created an airborne strain back in 1989. And then later they declassified it and they did a special piece on Nova about it. I mean, this isn't a game. This is not a game. I had 3 family members die in the last 12 months of mystery airborne lung illnesses. And now Obama signs executive orders about martial law and detaining anybody with a respiratory illness 2 months ago. Guys, can you print me that article? I keep forgetting the exact number of it. It's just headline, Obama signs executive order on airborne illness, Obama signed executive order on respiratory illness, on quarantining. And before it said specifically stuff that was bad. Now it's just period. It's all about a power grab. And it doesn't even mean it's going to happen this time. There it is. Obama signs executive order to allow detention of Americans with respiratory illnesses. Amendment comes in wake of Ebola scare. August 1st. So over a month ago. That's 2 months ago. 2 months and 4 days ago. Let's go back to Julio. Julio, go ahead and give us your take on what you think's going on.
I think it's completely orchestrated. It may not happen widespread right away, but again, if you go back and look at all these political actors, including Kasim Reed, it's not a coincidence that these, like Bilderberg would talk about something like this. And you mentioned that executive order. You know, I work in radio here in Wyoming. I'm originally from Chicago. And I spoke to one of the sales directors, and he told me from a source he has inside the military, he and I joked, and he talked about FEMA camps, and I told him, hey, you sounded like one of those conspiracy theorists. Like he tells me that, well, here in Wyoming, that they have military facilities, these concentration camps. So in the future, maybe not now, but in the coming years, we are going to see this continuity of government agenda continue to roll out, and they're going to use these crises as a way to, as an excuse to bring people into sports stadiums or old military facilities. And one last thing, Alex, again, Rick Perry, here in Texas, people need to put his feet to the fire to stop this because, again, his appearance at Bilderberg in 2007 in Istanbul, Turkey, is a clear example that he will not think about Texas first. He will think about the elitists because he's blackmailed. They have him, and there's no way he's going to do anything for Texas if people don't put his feet to the fire.
He'll put out a lot of rhetoric about shooting coyotes and having guns, but why isn't he calling for Obama to shut down these flights? And why is the CDC allowed to say, oh, we couldn't get medical care to Africa when those are U.S. military flights going in? No one said cease all the flights. They said passenger flights.
Absolutely, Alex. And again, CDC is based in Atlanta, so this is totally orchestrated. And we need to look at State Department groups, along with Bill and the Melinda Gates Foundation, going to Africa and all those vaccines and the GMO foods they've given the African people. This is a genetically modified society. We're in it right now, Alex, and they're going to roll this out more and more incrementally.
You're absolutely right. Thank you, Julio. By the way, we're going to open the phones up again to get even more people lined up. The toll-free number is 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539. We're going to come back and go to Mark. I'm just going top to bottom here. Oldest and newest calls. Mark, Karen, Jason, Monique, SA Insider, Spiro, and others. It's all coming up straight ahead on this Worldwide Sunday edition. This Ebola thing, as I've said, is a Rosetta Stone. It just gives you a bird's eye view into how these globalists operate. It's incredible.
Using unparalleled research in the development of a synergistic formulation based around the key concepts of super oxygenation, the next level in cleansing is here. With key ingredients backed by real clinical studies, the new Oxy Powder, available through InfoWars Life, was invented during Dr. Group's research on the toxification of our bodies. Many herbal colon cleansers are harsh on the body and contain cheap and potentially dangerous ingredients, oftentimes full of synthetic fillers, GMOs, additives, or worse. Gently start cleaning your body with easy capsules that start working while you sleep. Oxy Powder does not require time off work, and there's no need for bad tasting concoctions. Instead, Oxy Powder slowly releases monoatomic oxygen into the intestinal tract and body. Experience the astonishing cleansing power of superoxide and ozonide technology. Go to InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com to get started with Oxy Powder, or call 1-888-253-3139.
KLN, Los Angeles. Clone Radio. We play the songs that sound more like everyone else than anyone else. Clone.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. The Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns.
I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man.
The answer to 1984 is 1776.
It certainly is.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Now into the second hour of the live Sunday edition, back weekdays live, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am your host, Alex Jones. Now, where to begin here? If you just joined us, Ebola patient in Dallas fighting for his life, says CDC head. MSNBC says Ebola's worse because of the Second Amendment. You cannot make this up. It's up on Infowars.com. Back in August, we wrote about Obama signs executive order to allow detention of Americans with respiratory illness. He changed an executive order to say that if it was communicable and deadly, they could have a quarantine. Now this is just saying for any reason, but then they won't quarantine real people that have been exposed to Ebola patients. They won't clean up the vomit off the street, or they do it 6 days later and just have the maid service do it. They won't clean up the hospital equipment. They'll put Ebola patients in regular ward areas in Atlanta, in regular hospitals, not level 4 bioweapon containment facilities. This has never been done before. And it's to train you to accept anything. The question is, why? What are they planning to get out of it? Forced inoculations? Bill and Melinda Gates' new Monsanto Ebola vaccine? I'm not taking it. My grandmother got polio a month after she took the polio vaccine. And so did most of the people she knew that got it. You can actually look into that. That's what's so crazy about this medical system, is it gets away with bloody murder and hides collectively its mistakes, or its secret testing, or the evil things it's done on purpose. Mark in Oregon, then we'll go to Karen and others. Mark, what's your take on this situation?
Hey, Alex. God bless you and yours, sir. Alex, you've mentioned several times today that this Ebola crisis may be a beta test. I'm sure you realize that in all probability, given the blatant and intentional negligence that is and has occurred here and will continue to occur, that the intention of the evildoers is to, in short order, create a highly lethal global pandemic.
That's what Ted Turner and Prince Philip and Dr. Pianka and just all the rest of them constantly call for, a wonderful airborne super weapon to cleanse the earth of the disease that is humanity, and that we all shouldn't have kids, but Ted Turner can have 5. Yes, I absolutely agree with you.
Everything that you're well aware of, Alex, and that you've, through your service and ministry, have made your audience through the years, which has been ever-growing, is aware of. There's a natural progression in the whole history of these people. I won't call them eugenicists. I think they've established their gene pool quite a while back. I would call them genocidalists. And yes, it leads right up into it. The 21-day average incubation period, during which a person will shed the virus to all who come into contact with that person's bodily fluids, which can be indirectly through a counter surface, to a person sneezing, anything a person touches. It can be on the money. They can actually pick up the Ebola virus on the money, and it's a very long-living virus, and it is a highly lethal super virus. Whereas,
and they're just totally calm. They're usually, get all your shots for school or you'll all die. Oh, do whatever you take your mercury. Mercury's good for your brain. Government loves you. Obamacare's free. You didn't build your business. Families are bad. Men are bad. You know, but oh, this is no big deal. Ebola, we're not going to stop any flies. Everything's fine.
Everything is a lie. And when a person learns to see through the illusion which they put up with their propaganda and their mind control in so many various ways, which actually cause a person to believe the broad road of they have control, everything's going to be fine, they'll take care of us, our mommy and our daddy, and it's all been inculcated, but we have many of us who see through it, and I think more of us all the time. But Alex, with the Hajj coming up over in, I believe it's in Arabia.
That's where the Mecca is located.
Yes, and all these people from Africa that are not showing symptoms yet, perhaps some that are beginning to on the way, are going to end up several millions of people.
With Muslims from all over the world, tens of millions making the Hajj. For folks that don't know what the Hajj is, you might want to explain to them that it's at least once in your life you're supposed to go to Mecca.
It's the most pilgrimage of the religion of Islam that there is, and it's done once a year, if I'm correct.
Well, I mean, they have the Hajj once a year, the big pilgrimage, but you only have to do it once in your life.
Yes, Alex, and I didn't know that. But they are expecting better than 2 million people on the average, perhaps more, perhaps up to 5 million. I'm not sure that.
It'll be way more than that, but yeah.
Really?
Yeah, tens of millions make the Hajj every year.
And we have a mixing pool there that is being brewed up, and we already have one here in the United States, which is being brewed up, and it spreads so quickly.
Well, I think if you don't drink Ebola and give it to your children, you're racist. And I just think you're being Ebola-phobic right now. And I think that you should just, I mean, did you hear MSNBC, without giving any reason why, just says that the Second Amendment is to blame for this? Did you know that?
Alex, it's so blatant now, it's quite obvious that they feel that they have total control of the situation. They can lie right in our faces. They know, in other words, in their minds that we can do nothing about it. But if we put out there such a fact as what Norman Mineta testified to at the 9/11 trials on May 22nd, 2003, that he was in the bunker when Dick Cheney was running the stand-down orders and running the whole operation of 9/11, and he testified under oath to the 9/11 Commission about that.
No, he did, that there was a stand-down of NORAD. You're absolutely right, and the system got away with that, so why not get away with more? Why not openly fund al-Qaeda and then have a fake war against them when the public finds out about it? Great points, Mark. I'm going to jam in one more call before we go to break. Karen in Arizona, you're on the air.
Thank you, Alex, for taking my call. I have 2 mentions about the CDC. I had a disagreement with them in 1971. My husband caught polio, and they wanted me to call everybody and let them know. Then Thursday, I called the CDC, and I said, we need to shut down the airports and let nobody coming in. And she says, well, all of Africa? I said, yes, all of Africa. And I said, this is an airborne disease, and I do believe they have a talking point, Alex, that when people call...
Well, of course they do. I mean, of course they do. They've now come out and responded and said it's